Now it's time to hear the stories of Utes in their own words. This is Utes Insider presented by Pepsi. Here's your host, Mike Lageschulte.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the show. Great to be back with you as we head into the month of March and the postseason stretch for winter sports. We hope to catch up with several Ute athletes taking part in NCAA competition over the next few months. Coming up this week, Utah is hosting the NCAA Skiing Championships at Park City Mountain Resort in Soldier Hollow. The Alpine races will be Wednesday and Friday at Park City. Nordic races Thursday and Saturday at Soldier Hollow. And Utah hoping to raise the championship trophy for the third straight time coming up on Saturday afternoon. It is a Utah team stacked with some of the best skiers in the entire world. In fact, half of Utah's 12 skiers competing in nationals, 6 of them have been at the FIS World Junior Championships or the Olympics this past winter. The 4 Utes who went to the Olympics will be joined by 2 of those individuals on today's show. Luke Jager, a men's Nordic skier from Anchorage, Alaska, won the 20K freestyle at the RMISA West Regionals a few weeks ago. And Novie McCabe, a women's Nordic skier from Winthrop, Washington, won both Nordic events at the same championships, and they're hoping to become national champions this week. Luke Jager and Novie McCabe from Utah Skiing will join us next on Utes Insider.
To hear more episodes of this show and other Utah athletics podcasts, search for them on iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube. Now back to more of Utes Insider presented by Pepsi.
And welcome back to the show. It's being brought to you by University of Utah Healthcare, the official healthcare provider of the Utes and you. We're joined now by a woman who's been busy really all winter, going back to November and through the months of January and February with the U.S. national team, the Olympics, and now back with the Utes as they gear up for a championship run this week at Soldier Hollow in Park City. Novie McCabe hopping on with us on Utes Insider. Novie, how you doing?
I'm good, thanks.
Thanks for taking some time to join us. So before we jump into your Olympic experience and what you've done with Utah, you've got a lot to talk to about that, but I want to get into your background in skiing first of all. So Novie, what age did you get into Nordic skiing, and when did you realize you kind of liked this thing?
Yeah, I guess I don't really remember the exact age that I started, but probably pretty much as soon as I could walk. My mom was a skier and my dad was kind of a skier and runner. So it was definitely like a family ordeal at first. And then I just grew up skiing a lot with all of my friends, and we were all super close and had a lot of fun doing it together. So I think that just like kept me really loving it. And I started traveling a bit more and really liked that. And then here we are now.
You grew up in Winthrop, Washington. You know, I know communities play a big part in sort of what sports you gravitate to. If you grow up in Park City, you're going to be a skier more likely than not. So is Winthrop kind of a hotbed for skiing and so forth? Yeah,
it for sure is. We have a great trail system and a great Nordic program there. So that definitely helped a lot to like introduce me to the sport. And I just really loved training with that team and spending time with so many great people. And I think it's like an awesome part of the community there.
Well, very good. Well, listen, Utah is obviously a great program, has been for a long time, but there's other places out west. I mean, Colorado and Denver, you have some great programs. There's places to go out east if you want to get away from this part of the country. So for you, Novie, at what point did you start thinking about, you know what, Utah is where I want to go for college?
Yeah, I mean, my mom and dad both went here. So I kind of was like hearing about Utah growing up. And then when I was looking at schools, I kind of wanted to stay in the West. I love the mountains and everything. And the coaches here are so great. And I was really stoked on also joining the team with one of my friends, Sydney Palmer-Ledger, just hoping that we could like get faster together. And I knew that the team was already so strong. So I felt like there was a lot I could learn from everyone here. And I think, those are the main things that made me want to come.
Yeah, I talked to Sydney after she won a pair of national championships last year. She mentioned you and the fact you were good friends and trained together, and there was a pretty tight bond there, which has been pretty cool for both of you, it sounds like. You know, Novie, for you came in last year and didn't win big last year, but you went to nationals, participated there, and still had a very good year. Can you just talk about what your freshman year of college was like and how that prepared you for what you've done here in 2022?
Yeah, freshman year was really fun. I think like it was nice to have a year of just pretty much doing all of the college races and doing pretty much only domestic racing. I think that a lot of that was because of COVID, but it was really fun and I think really helped with development a lot to just like kind of stay in the US and do a lot of racing and a lot of college racing, which is really fun. And I think that just because we have like such a strong team, we're always pushing each other. So I think there's no, I'm never worried about not having enough competition or enough people to push me. So it was great to just stay here and experience that for 1 year for sure.
We've had 12 podiums and 14 races. You've done pretty well for yourself already for being just a sophomore. And the crazy thing is, you weren't around a lot this year. So for people who maybe haven't followed, the Utah skiing program or the Olympics and so forth to know what this year's been like for you, just walk us through what this, past 5-6 months has been like. So understand, back in November, you went off and did some World Cup racing. You came back a little bit with the team, raced once at Sun Valley. Then you were gone again for the Olympics and then came back for regionals. So you've been all over the place since really back to November. Just walk us through what the past, 4 or 5 months has been like for you.
Yeah. So in November, we left for World Cup Period 1, which started in Riga, Finland. And then I did Period 1 and 2 of World Cup before coming back. But that was a crazy experience. It was my first time being on the World Cup, and it was a lot of fun, but also the competition level is insane over there. So it was a lot of just kind of being destroyed by the field. But I think that I don't know, I learned a lot from it and was kind of able to make slight improvements as I went along. And I think as I raced more and more World Cups, I was able to kind of figure out how it worked a little bit more. And so I got to do the Tour de Ski too, which is this ski tour. It's 6 races in 10 days or something like that, which I've always wanted to do. And that was a real highlight for me, I think, even though it was really tough. And I had some bad races and some okay ones. But yeah, so that was a lot of fun. So I guess I just got to check off a lot of things that I've always wanted to do and gain experience. And I'm excited to hopefully go back next year. But yeah, then also coming back here to race in Sun Valley was really fun because I hadn't done any domestic racing. And then going to the Olympics was obviously amazing. I didn't really think that would happen for me this year, but I was super stoked to do that, and to actually get to race there was super fun. And then, now we're back. So it's kind of been a whirlwind, and I wasn't really expecting it to play out that way fully. I didn't really think I would spend so much time away, but I'm happy that I got those experiences and opportunities.
Wow. I mean, and just your schedule be pre-Olympics wears me out, but hearing about all that's just a lot. But let's talk about the Olympics. I mean, that is such a cool experience, whether you're going for Team USA or another country, to go be a part of that is just amazing. I've talked to people who've done it, and they all say it's one of their highlights, regardless of what they do before or after that. That thing really is sort of the pinnacle of any sport. So Novie, to be there with Team USA, 1, to qualify, to be a part of it, and 2, to be on a relay team, and the 4x5 that took 6, that was kind of a surprise, I think, to some people. Just talk about what your experience was like going to Beijing and being part of Team USA.
Yeah, it was really cool. I think one of the highlights was definitely just getting to spend more time with my teammates, and also having really good friends there on the team with me was awesome and made it a lot more fun. There was definitely there were parts of it that were pretty stressful, and but also, I don't know, overall, of course, it was amazing because it was the Olympics. But it was definitely being on the relay was really cool. It sucked that not everyone can be on the relay, because I think that any of the girls on the team could have skied that and done so well. And I don't know, I just tried to do my best for everyone, but I know that everyone else could have also had a really great day. And it was definitely tough that some people didn't get the opportunity to race at all. And some got just a very few amount of races, but I think that's just how it goes and kind of part of the game. But I was lucky to be on the good side of a lot of those decisions, and things kind of just worked out for me over there because I got an early start and then just kind of got some more. So I wasn't really expecting to have any starts, and then maybe just one, but I got to race more than expected. So I was stoked about that. And yeah, it was for sure amazing. And I hope I can go back someday and kind of be more prepared and be racing in a position to maybe win a medal or something.
Yeah, you were fantastic to do as much as you did. Like you said, you weren't expecting to race as much as you did, and to go so well for you was pretty awesome. Novie, just talk about what your day is like at the Olympics. I mean, yes, there's the Olympic Village, and there's just people from all over the world who are just around, and you've got all these things in common with each other. Just talk about what your common day was like experiencing that in Beijing.
It was, I think COVID definitely made it a bit different than prior Olympics, but I think, so the day usually just consisted of kind of waking up, eating breakfast in our apartment, and then we would eat most of our meals back in our apartment to try to avoid COVID.
Yeah.
So I honestly didn't get to meet too many people, but I did get to meet a lot of like Nordic skiers from different countries when we were out training. And the venue was like really close to the village, which was awesome. And the training was really good. Like there was plenty of skiing to be done. The conditions were kind of brutal at times. Like it was really windy and cold, but we managed. And yeah, I don't know. It was a fun time for sure. Like I didn't really know what to expect going into it, but I think that they did a great job organizing it. And it was fun to meet some people and just, experience the whole thing.
Yeah, I remember watching a few days and they kept talking about how there wasn't snow. They had to make snow to get the courses ready. And yet during the games, it was coming down pretty hard and blowing pretty hard a few days there. It looked like it was not exactly ideal to deal with in terms of temperatures and conditions. But again, to be there as an Olympian for the first time, you mentioned you hope to take some things to use down the road. Is that kind of the idea now for you, is one, finish your college career, but two, have a chance to go back to the Olympics in 4 years?
Yeah, I would love to go back in 4 years. I think that's definitely a big goal for me because I want to go to the Olympics at some point in my life and like be in a place where I can compete with the best in the world. So I kind of thought of this time as just kind of gaining experience, and hopefully I'll be back one day.
Yeah, well, so happy for you that you got a chance to do it, for one, and two, to do it at your age and have that idea that I can go back now at some point and still be in your prime is pretty awesome. Visiting with Novie McCabe, a sophomore Nordic skier for the Utah ski team, going for its third straight national championship in 3 events coming up this week in Park City and Soldier Hollow. All right, so Novie, you had the car wash of racing and international competition that took you through November, December, January, into February. You came back in time for the NCAA West Regionals. You were the champion in the women's classic and women's freestyle last week. That's hard to do, to go back to back and win both. Just talk about your experience, one, coming back from the Olympics and just sort of, reacclimating yourself to U.S. skiing here with your team, and then go win 2 titles at the regionals. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was definitely cool. I came back and I wasn't really sure what to expect because I was kind of tired and like it was a lot of travel, but I actually ended up feeling really good. And it was fun I got to ski the 15K, like Sophia and I skied it pretty much all together, which was really fun because I feel like we haven't really had a race like that this season. So we kind of were just pushing each other. And yeah, it was a lot of fun to be back to college racing.
Well, it's great to have you back as well. I know Frederick was a little thin on numbers as he had the regionals, and it was like, we just got to get enough out there to qualify, and you guys did just that by winning the race as a team. So, Novie, for you went to nationals last year. You were third in both races in Nordic at the NCAAs. So now national championship is still pretty good to be top 3 in both races, and now to have that behind you, plus also the international experience you had this whole winter. In terms of your confidence and where you are physically, how do you feel about things going to nationals this week at Soldier Hollow?
Yeah, I'm feeling super excited. I mean, I'm stoked to be on the team for nationals because our girls team is so strong, and guys, like it's kind of crazy how well everyone on our team is racing right now. So I'm stoked to have made the team, and like I think everyone has a chance to do super well that is on our team. So it should be interesting and fun, and I hope we can all pull off some good races and win another championship, hopefully.
Yeah, I don't think people realize you can only take 3 men and 3 women for both Nordic teams to go to nationals. So Utah can only take 12 altogether between Alpine and Nordic. So you think about this team, how deep it is, how talented it is. To be just that top 3 is a lot to be said for that. I mean, you could have our 4th and 5th racer go for another school, and they could do pretty well. So for you to be top 3 on this team really shows just how talented you are, and it's such a deep group, and it should be so much fun for fans to watch Utah have a chance to win a national championship up at Soldier Hollow. Just a great venue that was built for the 2002 Olympics, and also Park City Mountain Resort is fantastic for Alpine. Should be a lot of fun. Novie with the team, before I let you go, they've won a lot of championships here. That's the expectation. Frederick expects it. The team expects it. In terms of pressure, is there excitement? How do you explain sort of the emotions going into championships coming up?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's mainly excitement. I don't think anyone is like too stressed yet. I think we're all just like excited to have some fun, and I mean, we'll see how it goes. Obviously, we're hoping to win, and I think we have the ability to win. So, but yeah, we'll see. I think we're all just looking forward to competing together and spending time together. And it should be a really fun week.
Everyone I talk to says it's not the winning, it's the experience with your teammates and your coaches, and a chance to have some family and friends come up and watch you in person. Should be a lot of fun at the national championships. So, hey, go enjoy it. It's been quite the winter. At some point, you can maybe rest a little bit and sit back and think about, I know it's been a whirlwind for you, but what an experience to be at your age and all you've done in the past, 14, 16 months between college and international competition. Novie McCabe, best of luck in nationals, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much.
All right, that's Novie McCabe from the Ute Nordic team, back with more Utes Insider in just a moment.
Stay connected by searching for Utah Athletics on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Now back to more Utes Insider, presented by Pepsi.
And welcome back to Utes Insider, our show brought to you by Pepsi, the official soft drink of Utah Athletics. Well, we just talked to Novie McCabe of the women's Nordic team. Time now to talk to Luke Jager from the men's Nordic team, a native of Anchorage, Alaska, who also was in the Olympics in Beijing back in February. Luke, thanks for hopping on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Great to have you. It's going to be an exciting week with national championships here as Utah goes for its 3rd and 3 contested. Of course, the Utes had the lead 2 days into the 20 championships before COVID-19 ruined things, but it's been a great run by this program. You've been a part of it now for your 3rd year as a junior. But Luke, I want to get into your background. Always fun to talk to athletes and just find out when things started, when it really clicked for them. So for you, when did you jump into Nordic skiing, and when did you know that, you know what, I'm pretty good at this, I'm going to go at it for a while?
Yeah, well, I'm from Alaska, like you said, so skiing is a pretty big part of just the culture there, and there's a really, we're really lucky to have very robust programs and make it pretty easy for people to go out and go skiing. So my parents took me out when I was maybe 2 or so, and just I got dragged around for a few years, and yeah, I really hated it at first. It's just my mom tells these stories about me just going to my little Nordic things and just bawling my eyes out and hating it.
Really? To that extent, and then you stayed with it after all that.
Yeah, though I think just a lot of things like the cold and stuff like that maybe were a bigger factor than anything else. But yeah, then a lot of my role models and my sisters skied, and it just kind of was what everyone I was around did, so I just did it. And then yeah, I had a lot of fun with it, and I had a lot of really good coaches and really good support early on that just made me want to stick with it. And yeah, just haven't really looked back since.
Very good. Well, in terms of where you went for college, there's a lot of good programs out west, and Alaska has a couple teams that compete as well. But for you, when did you lock in on Utah and decide you were going to be a Ute for your college experience?
Yeah, that's a good question. So after high school, I took a year off, and I didn't have a super concrete plan on what I wanted in terms of college skiing versus not college skiing. Within the U.S. system of skiing is kind of a big decision when you turn that age as to what you're going to do. And especially even 4 years ago or 3 years ago, it was an even bigger decision,
right? Because
there were not as many people on the national team in college. So I took a year and trained in Alaska with my club and my coaches, and I raced quite a bit in Europe and lived with a friend in Norway and raced in Europe for a while. And I gained some really valuable experience and kind of learned a little bit about living on my own and myself and stuff. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, the truth is I think I just got pretty bored, and I was maybe this whole idea of, you need to be doing only skiing to ski fast is maybe not as true as I thought it was. And maybe there's a little more to it. So yeah, my good friend Noel, who I've done a lot of trips with, was on the team at the time. So I hit him up and I was like, yo, I'm interested in coming. What do you think I should do? And he helped me go through the process of emailing Freddie and Miles and applying. And yeah, super lucky they took me on. And it's probably the best decision I've ever made. I think it's been the best 3 years of my life.
You've had some good experience before you came to Utah on the junior circuit. They were a part of a team that placed first with the U.S. Relay at the 2019 FIS Juniors. So you had some experience, some success before you came to college, but to come here, and like you said, you had a connection to the team. Frederick Landstedt is highly regarded as a Nordic coach, same with Miles Havlick, former Ute himself. How much did those two guys and the idea that you can come race with them and learn from them, how much did that play into your decision to come to Utah?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I didn't really know any of them super well, and I talked to them on the phone, I think, the spring that I committed, but it felt a little bit to me like I was taking what felt a little bit like a gamble at the time. I mean, I knew that the support and everything, just from what people say, was incredible. But yeah, I mean, as far as I knew at the time, I had everything, in Alaska was as good as it could be. and it was great and it still is great. But yeah, I mean, I guess I didn't really know what to expect, but it really opened my eyes to like there's a lot of ways to do it, and there's a lot of roads to Rome, as they say, I guess. And if you got good people that are supportive and nice, then that's kind of all that matters. And these guys and the whole team and the whole program, and the whole athletics department is just like incredibly supportive and really genuinely cares about us and our success and skiing and everything else. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, you can really feel that culture just like every day. And that's I feel like more important than the like, facilities and all the other stuff that we get support wise. Like that's what keeps me coming back, I feel like.
Talking with Luke Jager of the Utah ski team, a junior from Anchorage, Alaska, who was a part of the U.S. Olympic team at the games in Beijing. Well, Luke, it's been just a crazy 4 to 5 months for you, going back to November with international competition, the Olympic ramp up and so forth, training in Italy. For you guys, I don't know how you've done this in all these time zones and places. So if you can, about a couple of minutes, just walk us through, Luke, what your schedule's been like going back to November.
Yeah, so I left the U.S. in November, like November 17th or something like that, and went to Finland for the opening World Cup weekend. And I, based on just did some results last season and just getting a little bit lucky with the way things shook out, I've qualified to race World Cup in the first 4 World Cup weekends of the year. And so I was in Norway, or I was in Finland, then Norway, then Switzerland, and then Germany. And, skied just well enough there to scrape by to get to stay over for an extra couple weeks and, race, have some good days and some bad days. And then raced well enough that I was able to qualify for the Olympic team, and then came home for a couple weeks, which was really nice. It's a little bit stressful just because of the nature of COVID at the time.
Right.
In, early or mid-January. Then knowing I was maybe gonna have to go back over, but couldn't get COVID, was a little bit stressful. But yeah, I came back home in early January and raced a couple college races and got to be back with the team and get a little feeling of normalness again, which is really nice. And then got the official word on the Olympics, so headed back over with Novie and Sophia to Italy, where the national team did our pre-camp, and we were in Livigno, Italy for 2 weeks. At the same altitude and the same temperature, and, windiness was a big factor in that decision as well, I think, of being there as China. And then, we headed over to China on like the 2nd or something of February.
What a whirlwind. At what point did you get a sense? I mean, obviously you were told at some point officially you're on the team, but at what point did you get a sense, I've got a chance to make the Olympic team?
I had that as a goal, obviously, at the beginning of the season. And it's maybe unlike other qualification processes in other sports, it's a little bit of like a slow release of the pressure, because you can kind of like look into the future a little bit with the way things are going and have an idea of maybe, in like the middle of December, I started being like, okay, maybe this is going to happen. But I'm going to need to pull out a couple more good results for it to happen for sure. And then I actually went home when I went back to race those college races before the qualification period was over. And I was qualified at the time, but there was another weekend of racing that I wasn't going to be there for. And so it was totally conceivably possible that one of my teammates was going to like pop a really good race and then pass me and take that spot. But in a stroke of, I feel bad calling it luck, because it was luck for me, but not for anyone else. One of the World Cup weekends got canceled because of Omicron in France. And kind of when that happened, then I was like, all right, it looks like barring anything crazy, this is probably going to happen. But yeah, like I said, it was kind of like it wasn't like a weight was suddenly lifted off my shoulders. It was sort of like a slow, it was kind of anticlimactic. I didn't really know what it was going to feel like, and it was a little bit less, blissful than I thought it was going to be, maybe.
Interesting. I talked to Novie about this, and I talked to other athletes as well, that, the Olympics, yes, it's the competition that's top level. It's to make the team is a big deal. It's only every 4 years, but just the experience of being in the Olympic Village and being surrounded by athletes from all these sports, and they're all there for the same common thing, to take part in the opening ceremonies and so forth, is just such a cool experience. If you can, and I know because of COVID-19, there were some restrictions and so forth, but just tell us what your experience was like over in Beijing and just being part of the Olympic experience for that period of time.
Yeah, I mean, it was great. It was really cool. It was super, just like mind blowing, the scale of all of it, because like skiing itself, especially cross country skiing, is in the U.S. anyway, is a pretty small scale sport compared to other sports. But then suddenly you go to this venue where this place where suddenly you're talking in terms of like billions of dollars being spent, not millions of dollars, and that's a pretty big difference.
Right.
And just like the infrastructure that had been built for the Olympics and the number of people working and just like the scale of the hustle and hurry of everything going on was really, really insane. And you get like these just like 3 massive duffels of clothes, and it's just like, I don't know. I mean, it's like so different from anything else that you experience, that like you are living a normal life before then, and you go and do this crazy couple of weeks, and you come back and live a normal life again, and it almost feels like it was like a dream because it was just so insane.
Right.
But it was really sweet, and everyone is super nice. All the workers there were really nice, and all the other athletes kind of just, you have the sense that you're all like going through this shared thing together, which makes people really friendly and approachable. And, and people that you see on the World Cup circuit that maybe are a little intimidating otherwise, or like suddenly you're like chatting with them in the dining hall because you're both at the Olympics together, which is, that was my favorite part, was just getting to talk to a lot of different people and just experience that with them.
Such a cool experience. Well, let's talk about the racing. As I mentioned earlier, you were part of the U.S. team that was the gold medalist at the 2019 FIS Junior Worlds. So you've been on the U.S. team with success before. And from what I understand, this time around, they said with this 4x10 relay, you were on the place tonight. They kind of said, hey, let's go young. Let's get these guys out there. We love this group, and let's put them out and see what happens. And for you, you and one other guy who were on that team back in 19 were part of this relay. So just talk about your race experience and how that went in the 4x10 at the Olympics. Yeah, totally.
I mean, I didn't even know for sure that I was going to get to do that race going into the Olympics. It was definitely a hope of mine because I really love the relay event, and I really like skiing the first leg in the relay. That's kind of what I've always done. I just knew I was going to get to do the sprint. So after the sprint, I was like kind of just waiting and hoping that was going to work out. And it did. But yeah, I mean, it was, the nature of these races is really different every time they're run, just depending on a lot of different factors. And this one was really hard from the gun. And I'd done one earlier in the year, like a World Cup relay that was on some easier, mellower courses at sea level and was a little shorter. And I remember, I like felt like I could totally kind of feel the level and be in the mix. And then this one started, and I was just like, oh boy, this is like a whole different game than I'm used to playing. So I was a little bit just like, pretty in the box pretty early, and kind of just trying to do damage control. But it was a super valuable experience because that's kind of the nature of how these higher level races at championships are often kind of run, I think. And like you said, we were pretty young. We were obviously still had our hopes on doing the best we could. And we did that, but I think we all learned a lot from it and are kind of like have some really specific things we know we need to work on to be ready for 4 years from now. Yeah, that's a cool thing. This group would come back in 4 years and make another run at it and take that experience and really build on it. But you've got some college days ahead of you until then, Luke, and a big week coming up next week. Before I talk about that, with the NCAA Championships coming up, you've been all over the place since November, and to come back, I mean, one, physically, I had to wonder how you guys would be, and also just mentally after all that travel and being overseas in different time zones for you and Novie to come back and do so well at the regionals last week. I mean, you were first place in the 20K freestyle. You were a bronze medalist in the 10K. Those are fantastic finishes for you. So for you mentally, physically, how did it feel last week at the regional race? Yeah, I mean, well, thank you. And physically, I was not really sure how I was going to feel. Mentally, I knew it was going to feel really good. And I was right. And it was just like such a nice relief to come home, and just like the intensity and the stress that sometimes includes the Olympics was done. And just got to be with our friends and with our coaches, and, surrounded by like the sun, and it's really warm. And yeah, I mean, that was really, really nice. And that's probably, a lot of the reason that we were able to have pretty good races. Also, just like the tumultuous nature of endurance sport is your fitness is really inconsistent and goes up and down a lot, and you can try your best to make it, be your fittest at the right time, but it's a really, really, hard dance to do. So I feel like I just kind of got lucky with the way I trained in Beijing, and the altitude was pretty similar to where regionals was, and everything, that I came back and was pretty rested and in a pretty good place. And thankfully I didn't really have too much of a hard time with jet lag. And yeah, I don't know, I was just really loving it and living in the moment, and just being with the team. So yeah, I was super excited to have some good distance races because I've pretty much only been sprinting all season. And NCAA races are not ever sprints. So it was encouraging for me to have those races right before NCAAs. And yeah, it was just really, really fun.
Well, it should be a big week come up ahead. I mean, national championships. I mean, it's the pinnacle of collegiate racing. For you, you've been involved in some bigger things this year, but still to come back with your teammates and for Utah to go for its third championship and its third straight NCAAs. Of course, 20 was canceled because of COVID-19. Otherwise, it could be 4 for 4 for this Utah team, but still, it's a great team. I talked to Frederick a few weeks ago, and he's like, for regionals, we're just hoping to have enough Nordic skiers to make it work. And now everyone's finally back from where they've been with their national competition in the Olympics, and the full squad is here and ready to go. In terms of your conversation with your teammates and just thoughts about the championships coming up, where's the team at right now in terms of excitement, feeling some pressures? Where's this group right now headed to nationals at Park City and Soho?
Yeah, I think we're in a good place and really, really fired up. It's really nice. Like everyone kind of within a few days of each other came back from all these competitions all over the world. So just sort of, we are really, really being just lifted by the feeling of the funness of being back with your friends, I think. And the weather up there is really, really nice. It's really warm, which is really helping us a lot. And yeah, I think all of us have had some good results recently that we're pretty fired up about. And, yeah, I mean, we do the Olympics and World Cup and all this, but to be honest, like this has kind of been the focus of the second half of my season. And I'm when you're a college skier, this is what you want. You want to be able to make it happen at NCAAs because, World Cup happens every year and the Olympics happens when you're older, but you only get a couple chances at this. So yeah, we're all super fired up and hoping a lot of fans come out and hoping that it's just really good and we all stay healthy until then.
All right, well, it should be a lot of fun this coming week at Soldier Hollow and Park City Mountain Resort. 2 great venues for any kind of skiing competition, but they have the national championships for college skiing come to our backyard. It's pretty cool. We're all excited about it. And Luke, thanks for joining us and best of luck to you.
Yeah, totally. Thanks, man. Nice to be on. Thanks for having me.
All right, great to catch up. Luke Jager of the Utah ski team back to wrap things up on Utes Insider in just a moment.
For more on Utah athletics, including up-to-date schedules and ticket information, log on to utahutes.com. Now back to more of Utes Insider presented by Pepsi.
Before we close out the show, I want to thank Steven Sylvester for the great job he did last month hosting the Our Voices podcast series as Utah Athletics celebrated Black History Month in February. It was a series of 4 shows with some of Utah's student athletes sharing stories of important historical figures for them, things they have gone through as young Black people growing up in predominantly white communities, experiencing racism at times, how they and their Utah teammates have grown together while talking about racial issues, and they also offer some ideas on how to help us move things forward. Just some great conversations. Great shows. You can find them the same place you find this show on Apple Podcasts, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and YouTube. That will do it for today's show. Thanks again to our guests, Novie McCabe and Luke Jager from Utah Skiing as they go for their 3rd straight NCAA title next week. Appreciate Mike Gillen for his technical expertise on this show as well. I'm Mike Lageschulte. Until next time, so long, everybody.
This has been Utes Insider presented by Pepsi. To hear more episodes of this show and other Utah athletics podcasts, search for them on iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube.